What's up YouTube? This is Foxtail Digital coming to you again with Black Girl Stocks, and this is another segment of our top 3 option plays this week, where we're just going to go over a few different trades, stock fundamentals, and different strategies that you can do to make it through. Okay, no recap of last week. Let's just go ahead and get into this week's trades. Okay, so the first stock that we're going to look into is IWM, and this is actually an ETF that represents the Russell 2000 index. This actually came from my options trading group. If you haven't already joined, make sure that you scroll down below, click the link in the description. This is going to consist of a lot of smaller cap stocks. AMC is a part of this. So this is a little bit different than S&P 500 and NASDAQ. This is going to be a bearish position just based on the long-term downtrend that we've been in, starting since we hit this high of 243 last November. So we've been in a pretty strong downtrend, and something that you could anticipate in that trend, you can see in this trend we have lower highs and we have lower lows. Now we are at a low right now. You could anticipating it possibly continuing in that trend and moving back up to probably maybe somewhere around 189. So we closed IWN at 167 on this Wednesday. So just going into the remainder of the week, and I already have my entry set here, but it's going to be around 165. First, if it moves to 165, it'll cross below our 200 period moving average here on the 5-minute chart. That's that yellow line there. So that's going to be a really good indication that we're continuing in that long-term bearish trend. And as far as the options go, this is going to be a little bit further out, and we can look at the July 15th expiration date. And so here are strike prices here, and you can look at the $158 strike price. So this is a little out of the money, but it has a very high volume, very high open interest. The delta is a little bit low, but it also has a low theta. So this is something that you can look into for IWM. All right, so the second stock that we're going to talk about is FDX. That's FedEx, and right now it's trading around $229.02. Now this is actually an earnings play, and FedEx is going to be reporting their Q4 earnings on June 23rd after the market closes. Okay, so that's going to be coming up. And interesting news that FedEx put out today is that they're improving the customer experience by offering picture proof of delivery for express and ground residential deliveries in the United States and Canada. And these are going to be for orders that are released without a signature. Okay, so these are the ones that are dropped right in front of your doors. And even just looking at the stock chart, FedEx looks like it might be in a pretty good position. We passed above our 50 period moving average on the daily chart back on the 13th of June. And now we're at a point where we're reaching a passing of our 200 period moving average. So just short term, it looks pretty good for FedEx. And so a lot of times with earnings reports, our implied volatility usually increases. And so you'll see short term a little bit closer up, our implied volatility is in the hundreds. Okay, and that's just an indication that this is expected to have a lot of strong movement and volatility during this earnings time. So their projected market maker move around the time of this earnings report is around $11 to $12. So the stock is expected to move at least $12 around this time. The limits for a credit receiving position that I would have would be around $241 and $218. So as long as it closes in between your limits, then you would be okay with this position. So on FedEx, I'm going to be looking at a credit receiving position. So this is going to be a credit spread. So make sure that you have it set for the verticals. And this is going to be a put credit spread. So it's just anticipating that the stock is going to close above these limits by the expiration date. So that's going to be on June 24th. And on Webull, make sure that your width is correct. So this one is going to be a 2.5 width, and that's just going to be the distance in between the options that we're buying and selling. And so we're going to sell the 220. Okay, so this is how it's going to look. Whenever we're doing a spread, you want to make sure it's in the sell for the vertical. So you want to make sure that the vertical is on sell. Now, the actual option contract that we're going to sell the 220 and we're going to buy the 217. The bid and the ask is a little bit wide for this, so you're looking to receive a credit probably somewhere a little below 0.75. So our maximum profit $75 and the maximum loss is $175. So it's a little bit of a risk, but anticipating FedEx closing above 17.5. Let's go back to the stock chart. So this is around 17.5. So we're anticipating this closing above 17.5 on the 24th, and that's going to be on Friday. So it's a few days away. So if we continue in this short-term uptrend, we should be okay. Just keep an eye out for that FedEx. All right, and the last position is XOM, and that's ExxonMobil, and right now they're trading at $87.86. Now, for the last couple of months, as you can see from the stock chart, XOM has been in a strong uptrend. The oil and energy stocks have seen a lot of bullish movement since the war overseas began, but that trend is kind of starting to come close to a bearish reversal. Just looking at this, because we're getting close to a 16% drop from that high that we have of 105. Really close to bear market. Honestly, you could say if we get past that 82, 83 is pretty much a wrap. But oil and gas companies right now are trading lower because of a possible gas tax holiday that we talked about. So that's going to be a pause on state and federal taxes on gas. So today on Wednesday, President Joe Biden was scheduled to have a conversation with Congress to suspend the federal gasoline and diesel taxes for up to 3 months. Now, analysts are calling this an election year move meant to ease pressure from citizens and lawmakers just to make the president look good for this next round of elections. But by stopping that tax and allowing some savings back to the consumer, people would roughly save about 3.6% at the pump when prices are averaged about 5. And gas prices are about 5. The gas prices are an average of $5 a gallon nationwide. This is the first time that's ever happened. On top of this short-term tax relief, the president also called out a lot of energy companies and told them that they need to accept lower profit margins to increase oil production and refining their capacity for gasoline. So this caused a little bit of a back and forth between the president and oil company CEOs. So it's a little bit of corporate shade. So just looking at this short-term negative news on XOM, I'm going to have a short-term bearish position. If I was going to look for a bearish entry on XOM, I'm going to have my entry probably around $87.40. So that's a little bit lower than a low we had from Wednesday today, okay? And so as far as the options, I'm going to move a little bit further out just to give it some time. And I'm going to be looking at the July 22nd puts, and you can look at the $80 puts, okay? So these have a pretty tight bid and ask spread, about 10 cents, and they have a decent volume and open interest. Their delta is going to be a little bit lower, but it has a very low theta at the same time and a lower premium. But if you wanted something with a higher delta, you can also look at the $84 or $85 strike prices. So all of these look pretty good. Your decision is going to be based more so on the premium price and the delta and theta. So once we start to see XOM continue in that downtrend past that $87 and around 40 cents, then that's going to be a good indication that this is going to be a good trade to get into. All right, you guys, that's going to be it for our top 3 option plays. But make sure that you check out this video on when to gauge when you want to exit a position, okay? So when you're in profit, when is the best place to take profits or even cut your losses if it's going against you, okay? So make sure you check out that video and get a little bit more information.